I'm excited to introduce my good friend Al, whom I've known for a few years now. Al has been working diligently on becoming a better man for himself, for his partner, and for his family. And he decided to volunteer himself to sit in the healing seat for this episode of the Finding Peace podcast.
We have all had painful events in our lives that can lead to depression, anxiety, addiction, or broken relationships. But here's a secret. It is not about what happened to us that causes suffering. It's the stories we believe about ourselves. Join us as we shine light on how to rewrite our stories, avoid the shadows of shame, and travel along the pathway to joy, love, and connection. It's the Finding Peace podcast with your host, Amazon best-selling author, Troy L. Love.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Well, thank you for being willing to be on this with me. What do you want to find a little bit more peace, joy, comfort about in your life right now?
So one of the things I'm struggling with the most right now is finding my value. And I think it has a lot to do with cultural background more than anything. Yeah, I'm so used to the man of the house being the provider, being the one that goes out and brings the bacon and everything. And right now, I'm currently unemployed. And so I'm finding trouble finding my value around the house in general, And so I never had to deal with something like that. And I know it comes from way back, when I started realizing that the only value I had to do with being abused, So when you're used to you being the one that leaves the house and you're the one that goes and drives wherever you need to go to and things like that, and now you're not, you're like, now what? What am I good for? So.
All right. Yeah. So if I'm going to watch all of that on a camera, what are the facts?
So the facts is I'm currently unemployed. I have a pension, do chores around the house, things that need to get done. But even though I do all those things, I still feel like I'm not pulling my weight.
So you don't have a job. What wound or wounds does that hit for you?
Definitely loss. I would say rejection and abandonment as well. I think those are the three main ones.
How long have you had a loss wound?
I've had the loss wound since I was about 5 when my parents got divorced. And so I grew up, I was raised by an aunt. So I grew up without both of my parents. So, so the loss wound is very, very, very old, the same as abandonment, so.
Can I ask why your parents didn't raise you?
Yeah. Their marriage was not the best. It wasn't a healthy relationship for them. And so, and then on top of that, there was infidelity on part of my father. So my mom eventually got tired of the situation and they got divorced. So.
Yeah, but even when parents usually get divorced, they still raise their kid. What led you to be raised by your aunt?
So we had low means. My mom only made it to 6th grade in school. And back in the day, there wasn't that many jobs that she could do. And so when my father, I call him my father because my dad is my stepdad. So when my father divorced my mom, he came to the United States and he basically didn't want to give any alimony or anything to my mom. So he knew that coming to the United States, he wasn't obligated to do it. And so my mom really didn't have much. And so there weren't that many people around that could actually help her out and stuff. So
you weren't living in the United States at that time?
No, I was raised in a different country. So my mom, back then there was a big big boom here coming to the United States from Latin America. So she figured she had a chance to come over here, but as I'm sure you've seen the news, it's not that easy for people to come in. And so my mom knew that the trip was very dangerous. So she didn't want us to have to withstand that trip with her. So she started asking for help. And then my aunt is the one that said, you know what, I'll leave him here. And the agreement was 1 year. And that's why my auntie actually agreed to, because the agreement was a year.
Mm.
But the 1 year ended up turning into 10 eventually. So yeah.
So you were 6?
Yeah.
So that loss and then abandonment, your dad left.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel like it's abandonment for your mom.
I do, yes. I do feel abandonment from both. Yeah.
You do, man. My heart hurts with you right now, dude. And then rejection. Those are some wounds that have been around a little bit.
Yeah.
Where do you feel them in your body?
Most of the time I feel them on my chest. My chest, I would say the rejection, I feel it in my throat, but the abandonment and the loss, I usually feel them on my chest. Yeah.
So at any given day when you're not going to work, you're trying to find things to do around the home, it hits those wounds, sounds like.
Yes.
Mm. And then, as you know, it's not just the wound that causes us pain, it's what we end up believing about ourselves. So what do you end up believing about you?
I am a failure. I am not that valuable. I am not pulling my weight. There's a lot of I ams when it comes to that.
Let's start with I'm a failure. I'm a failure because
I'm a failure because in the last 3 years that I've been a civilian, I haven't been able to hold a job.
So you've had a job and then you haven't been able to keep it?
Right.
So all of that really does like re-hit that rejection wound, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big time.
Which just reiterates the I'm a failure.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being absolutely true and 1 being completely false, how true right now do you believe the words I am a failure?
I would say it's about a 7 or 8, man.
It feels so true.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And when you feel that, when you believe that about yourself, what do you end up feeling?
I feel a lot of anger. Anger and sadness. For sure.
Mm. Tell me about the anger.
Well, it angers me because I know that when I am at any kind of job, I give my everything, I give my all. And for me to not be able to continue to provide that type of work, it's very upsetting, you know. I'm upset at myself too, right? Because I should have, at least in the very last instance, I should have been able to see the signs of the fact that I was vulnerable into acting out, you know, and I didn't. And so it lets me linger in that anger. And it angers me because I feel like I'm letting my family down too. So I'm a father, I'm a husband, and so all of that adds up too. And that's where the sadness comes.
Yeah, tell me about the sadness.
The sadness, what it does is it tells me how I'm being a role model for my children and how sad it is that I can't even keep up a job, and how am I going to expect them to be good citizens whenever they're older if they look at their dad and their dad can't even keep up a job, you know. And so that's I'm feeling it in the pit of my stomach right now. It's sadness. So
What does that sadness remind you of?
it reminds me of when my dad walked away. It reminds me of when my mom used to discipline me, which was very abusive at the time. So it lets me feel like I'm not good enough.
So all of that really reiterates that belief that you're a failure.
Yeah.
And yet the question you want to figure out is, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do?
Was the deal for sure.
So that sounds challenging.
Very, very challenging.
It's okay that you're feeling.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're feeling.
for sure, man.
My heart hurts with you, bro.
Thank you, man. And the fear probably kicks in too, right now. I've had some fear since I came back from residential because I don't know that uncertainty of whether the level of use that I get of the tools I got over there, either gonna take us far enough to where we're gonna stay together or whether we're not. So it's with my wife, yeah.
So even that fear of that relationship ending, kind of like what happened when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or do you feel that fear in your body?
I actually feel it in my shoulders. I feel it on my shoulders a lot. It feels like a load. Yeah.
It's heavy.
Pretty heavy, actually.
How long have you been carrying that?
I think that fear of the unknown has always been with me for a long time too. Because so I have a brother. He's a year younger than me, and I always had that fear of doing the wrong things because my family always ingrained in me that I was a role model for my brother. And so every time that if I was thinking about breaking a rule or something or trying to rebel a little bit, I always had to keep in the back of my mind that my brother would follow my steps, which it's interesting because it wasn't like that all the time. Sometimes he would still do whatever he wanted to do, but I always had to make sure that I was in a straight line. So that fear has always been there with me.
So if you weren't on the straight line, what would happen?
If I didn't walk in a straight line, I would hear it. I would hear about how I messed up. I would hear how I was setting up a bad example for my brother. And now more than likely he would do the things that I did. And so that's why everything that I did and everything that I was exposed to when it comes to the addiction side of things, that's why I always did it in secret. Nobody ever knew that I was doing those things because I got really good at hiding it. So.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what shadows of shame come out?
Definitely the judge. The judge is very prevalent in my life. I say the politician, those are the ones that pop up all the time when I'm feeling like that I'm not valuable, that I don't add anything to the pot. And whenever I decide to click the F it button, the F it button is usually my royal and my rebel that pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does your judge look like?
So it's interesting that you asked me that question long time ago when I was in the healing seat, and it still looks like my mom. That judge looks a lot like my mom.
What kind of things does it say to you?
It tells me that I am not good enough. It tells me that I can even fulfill my responsibilities. It tells me that more than likely I'm going to end up by myself. It tells me that I will fail at my recovery. Tells me that no matter what I do, I'm never gonna be able to do it right from this point forth.
How heavy is that?
Very heavy. It's extremely heavy.
What are you feeling?
I feel a lot of anger, man, towards that. Because I refuse to believe that I am not worth something, you know?
So it sounds like on one hand, you refuse to believe that. But a few minutes ago, when I said, how much does it feel true? You said it's a 7. You said it was an 8.
Right.
On the other hand, you absolutely believe it is true. So just
Yeah.
notice, like, put your left hand and your right hand out. And in your left hand, it's that feeling of like, I'm a failure. I'm not enough. And then on the right hand is, I refuse to believe that I am enough. I matter. And just kind of notice what it feels like to have both of those going on at the same time. And how does your body react to that?
I definitely feel the weight on my left hand of that belief that I'm not worth. It feels very heavy on my left hand compared to the right hand.
Which one feels more true? Not from your head, from your heart.
When not having value feels more true. But I feel that even though I have a little bit of fight in me, you know,
Yeah, you do.
I can feel that. I can feel that itty bitty.
Okay. Drop the energy in your left hand. Just let it drop on the floor. And then just hold on to what's in your right hand. And where in your body is that energy centered? And put your right hand over where you feel that.
In my heart.
If that energy had a color, what color would it be?
It was orange.
If it had a temperature, what temperature would it have?
Pretty hot, actually. My hand got warm right now when you had me drop the other energy.
Good.
It's interesting.
What texture?
Silky.
Okay. Breathe into that. And let it surround you. What are you noticing?
I feel full. I feel a certain fullness.
Beautiful. So I need you to hold on to that while we deal with the shadows, okay?
Okay.
So where in the room is the judge?
The judge is right next to me on my left side where the negative energy was.
Mm-hmm. How loud is it?
It's very loud.
And it's saying things like, you're not enough. You're going to end up losing everything. You're failing in your recovery. Your disappointment. You've disappointed your wife. Aren't good enough to keep a job. When it starts talking to you like that, what happens to that orange feeling?
It's still purple.
It turned purple.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It starts losing that warm temperature.
Exactly. right? Your judge has a lot of control over you. Okay, so we'll play freeze tag for a second and freeze the judge for a second. Where in the room is the politician?
Politician is right behind me.
And what does it look like?
Politician looks the way I used to look when I was in my uniform. It was very persuasive back then.
It's dressed up in its Class A's, all spiffy and standing at attention. And what kind of things does it tell you?
And he tells me, you know that you're gonna mess up, right? And I know that you're trying. I know that you're trying because I can see that you're trying, but you really like women. And you know you like them a lot. And you know the best way for you to disconnect from the stress of life is doing what you like to do with women.
Is that your politician or is that your rebel?
No, that's my politician, man, because he likes to convince me.
Convince you to do what?
To act out. He convinces me to start looking at people that I used to flirt with, not necessarily meet for encounters or anything like that.
What does he want to do that for?
Because he knows that it gives me a rush. He knows that for that moment when I'm able to reach out, he knows that it makes me feel wanted.
So he really wants you to get those votes, as it were, from these other women.
Yes.
What does he tell you about what to do around your wife?
So what he tells me when he convinces me about my wife is that she's always busy, she spends more time on her computer, she's not paying attention to me, that she has attention for the kids, but not as much for me. And so then my rebel comes in and F it, man. He's like, screw that. Let's do this. That's the difference between him and the politician. They are very close. They are very close to each other. They're usually next to each other for me.
One of the things that the politician convinces us to do is to keep it all a secret. We don't want anyone to know. If people find out, this will be really bad. And you said that was one of the things that you would do when you were growing up. You kept it all a secret so that nobody would find out. So as it's telling you that you're going to mess up and, you know, you really like women and you really need to get some affirmations and acceptance from these women, is it also telling you as far as secrets?
Yeah, he does. He's like, he tells me, hey, you know, we can delete the text messages if you contact anybody. All you gotta do is delete the conversation. And as long as you don't give any suspicion that you're up to something, your wife is not gonna check the phone bill and look at those phone numbers that she doesn't recognize. 9 times out of 10, I'll agree to that. But I guess
I'd like to say that out loud right now.
Feels stupid.
Why do you say that?
Because especially in the age that we live these days, you know, the era of technology, nothing is no longer hidden. Eventually everything pops out.
That is true.
And the reason why I'm saying this is stupid too is because, yes, at the very beginning, I may delete text messages. But eventually, that dopamine is so high. And I just want to keep having more of it that I forget to delete things. And when I least expect it, my wife will ask me for my phone and say, "Hey, I haven't looked in your phone for a while," you know,
Mm.
and stuff hits the fan.
Yeah, I bet it does. Who else is in the room with you right now?
I think the impotent one. The impotent is on my right side right now, right next to me on the right. So I have the judge on this side, on the left. The impotent is on the right, and the rebel and politician are right behind me.
Mm.
And,
Your
and so,
bodyguard.
yeah, I have a whole entourage. And so the impotent just tells me, it's like, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about this because you will fail. You will have to, whether you want, whether you like it or not, you need to accept that you're gonna have to.
What's it like having them all standing around you?
It's pretty creepy.
So imagine that you're at a job interview
Uh-huh.
and these four are your bodyguards. What happens?
They can, if I let them, they can sabotage my interview more often, especially if I'm being interviewed by a female.
What
You know,
happens?
I start looking at the female, I'm looking at, I can work here. This lady's cute. They might want to pop a jog here and there, kind of look personable, look comfortable, look approaching, because a lot of companies like people that are approachable and things like that. So
What are you feeling as you say that?
it just angers me that I could listen to something like that and pretend that would give me a job. And it disappoints me that I could think that way.
All right. So if you end up listening to these guys, what do you end up doing?
You try to rationalize the situation. I use sarcasm. If I don't get a job, I blame others. Definitely get into denial. And eventually I shut down.
How do you feel?
That's when the not so valuable feelings come.
Depressed? What?
Yes. Yes, I feel depressed. I feel anxious to numb.
Yeah.
Mm,
So let's deal with these dudes, okay?
sure.
What do you want to deal with first?
Judge.
Okay. Tell the judge, hey, I see you. See you standing there.
Hey, I see you standing there.
What does it do?
It frowns at me. What are you trying to do?
Yes, suspicious. Ask it, what wound are you trying to help me deal with by telling me that I don't measure up, that I'm a failure?
What wound are you trying to deal with by telling me that I am a failure? It's a rejection wound. Tired of seeing me being rejected.
Yeah. So it wants you to be perfect, not make any more mistakes so that you won't
Yeah,
reject it anymore.
yeah.
How are you feeling?
I feel very sad because nobody's perfect. And I just want people to recognize my effort, however much I give.
Yeah. So can you tell it thank you for trying to watch out for you, but you're going to do something else?
Thank you for trying to watch out for me. Thank you for taking care of me. And I'm gonna try to do something else.
What does it do?
I just started crying.
Mm. It hurts for you. Does that surprise you?
It does.
To see the judge crying?
Yeah.
Wouldn't expect that, huh?
No?
So it can cry over there. Let's deal with the impotent one next. I see you.
I see you.
What wound are you trying to help me with?
What wound are you trying to help me with? This is the abandonment.
It's a really old wound.
Yes.
Your tears are welcome here, brother. It doesn't want you to feel abandoned anymore. Its way around that is to tell you just give up.
Yeah. He usually has his arm around me.
Do you want its arm around you?
No, I don't.
No? You can tell it to stop touching you.
I want you to take your arm off of me. Arm is too heavy. I want to be able to stand up straight. And I can't because your arm is right around me.
So tell it thank you for trying to help you.
Thank you for trying to help me.
I don't want your help.
I don't want your help.
What did it do?
Got upset, but he walked back. Walked away.
So the judge is sad and the impotent one is angry.
Yeah. I think it's because the impotent felt like he was my best friend.
I bet he did. What are you feeling?
A little bit of peace and feel relaxed.
Okay, we got these last two behind you, the rebel and the politician. I see you both.
I see you both.
What are you trying to protect me from?
What are you trying to protect me from? The rebel says he's trying to protect me from not having a voice, from not standing up for myself. And the politician is trying to protect me from, he's also trying to protect me from being rejected. The fear too. Politician, he just said, in fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
He likes for me to be in my comfort zone.
Of course he does.
I'm feeling it in my throat right now. I feel his presence.
So when you were at rehab, you met your younger self, your inner child.
Yes.
How old is he?
He's 5.
Okay. So I want you to imagine that the politician and the rebel are talking to your 5-year-old self. What happens if you kind of step back and you watch them having that conversation with a 5-year-old? What happens?
They end up persuading him. They grab him by the hand each. And they walk away with him.
How old is your youngest?
He just turned 11.
So let's imagine that the politician and the rebel wait for him after school and they pick him up by the hand and they take him. Would you be cool with that?
No.
What would you do?
I'll punch him in the face. Get my kid.
So what's it like when you watch them take your 5-year-old self by the hand and walk away?
It angers me. When it gets me, it makes me want to go beat them, so they can leave my 5-year-old alone. When I was at rehab, I took my 5-year-old to the zoo and took him to his favorite place in the zoo to see the elephant. He loves the elephant. I want him to keep enjoying the elephant. I don't want him to take him away from there.
So they're taking him by the hand. What are you going to do?
Go freaking grab him and punch him in the face and grab my boy and
Cool.
stand right next to him so he's not by himself anymore.
Can you see yourself doing that?
Yeah,
How do they react?
they look afraid.
Yeah. What do you want to tell them?
I appreciate you trying to protect this young man, this young boy, but I got him now. He's in good hands. He's safe. I'm not gonna let him get hurt anymore. You can rest assured that I am gonna be here right next to him for as long as it takes.
What do they do?
They cuss me out, but turn around and left.
Oh, good. So it's just you and him now.
Yeah,
How's that feel?
it was awesome. It was warm.
You reconnect with that orange hot feeling that you were feeling a few minutes ago?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
All right. So when you breathe into that, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And every time you breathe in, just let that orange, hot, silky feeling just expand a little bit more. What is that silky, hot, orange feeling trying to tell you about who you are?
That I'm someone very important for this family, for this household. That even though my wife has a job, what I do around the house and what I do by taking the kids to their appointments, it's more than enough. And if I wasn't around, my family would struggle a lot more. That I am needed here.
What does it feel like to say that?
Well, very fulfilling.
So what is your purpose?
My purpose is to be here for my family, regardless of what I do.
Say that again.
My purpose is to be here for my family, regardless of what I do.
So like to say that out loud.
It's very reassuring.
How can you remember that?
One way I can remember it is if I'm sitting around and if I start getting those kinds of feelings that I'm not doing my way, I think I can write it down somewhere where I can see it at all times,
I love that. So close your eyes. Just breathe it in. My purpose is to be here for my family, regardless of what I do. And as you think about that, what do you need? And it's not what do you need to do. What do you need that will help you fulfill your purpose?
distance
Mm. From whom?
from myself.
Mm. So your purpose is to be here for your family. Are you enough for that?
Yes.
Do you have what it takes?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Sure do.
And on the days when you forget, your shadows march out and tell you other shiz, who can you reach out to remind you that you're enough and you have what it takes?
Man, I have a bunch of people I can reach out to. I can start with my own wife first, and then go from there, and then there's Mr. Troy Love too.
Breathe that feeling in again. Tell me what's going on.
Just feel very excited for life. I feel very excited for the opportunity I'm having to be here for my family and also to help others that are struggling and may be able to listen to this whenever it airs.
Absolutely. So there's a book called Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl wrote it. He was a psychiatrist during the World War II, and he was put in the concentration camps.
Mm-hmm.
And he watched how some people made it and some people didn't. And he started to realize that the ones who made it were ones who had connected with a sense of purpose. And he writes that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And it's what you just connected with. I can choose to be grateful. I can choose to remember that I am serving a purpose. So it's beautiful, bro.
Thanks, brother.
You're welcome. I am so grateful for you.
I'm very grateful for you as well, man. Very grateful to have met you 4 years ago, brother.
Me too. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure is all mine.
You've been listening to the Finding Peace podcast. If you love the show or want to ask a question, let us know by going to findingpeaceconsulting.com. There, you can also learn about the Finding Peace 5-Day Challenge. Remember to subscribe to this podcast so you won't miss the next episode. And if you are listening on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. It really does help other people find this podcast more easily. Thank you for spending part of your journey with us. And a special thanks to Johnny Porter for producing the show, and A.G. Flux for the new background music. Copyright Finding Peace Consulting. You've been listening to the Finding Peace podcast. If you love the show or want to ask a question, let us know by going to findingpeaceconsulting.com. There, you can also learn about the Finding Peace 5-Day Challenge. Remember to subscribe to this podcast so you won't miss the next episode. And if you are listening on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. It really does help other people find this podcast more easily. Thank you for spending part of your journey with us. And a special thanks to Johnny Porter for producing the show, and A.G. Flux for the new background music. Copyright Finding Peace Consulting.